Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Tronson. Welcome to the TitleSource 3 for TitleTales users course. You should be using the documentation that comes along with this course. There's a document, a Word doc called TitleSource 3 for TitleTales users. If you don't have that, you might want to pause this video and get it and follow along. The two go hand in hand. This is an introductory course. There is another course or other courses that will go along and build on this one. This course is going to cover a number of topics to help people who are used to using TitleTales from BWI and who will now be using TitleSource from Baker & Taylor. We're going to step through the documentation, doing a number of things that are in the document, and do them here on TitleSource, and give you hopefully a firm foundation so that you can use TitleSource in a nice, confident manner. So without further ado, let's get started. On page 2 of the document, there's a couple of things I would like to note. There is, in the center of the page, there's some information about getting some help. A number of times in this document, I refer to technical product support, which is a group that's available, and I give their phone number. They're available for help, and their phone number is right on this screen, as a matter of fact. And you can always call them or email them, and they'll be happy to help you. So anytime you run into a bind, give them a call. There is also information in there about a couple of different web pages that you can go to, the Children's and Teen Services web page. And that's a real handy page. There's also, I mentioned the Children's and Teen Services, the Cats Meow newsletter. I highly recommend that. That's a really good newsletter. I think there's some great information in there. And you can go to that subscription center. I put the link in there. You can go to the subscription center. You can also go find that page by going to baker-taylor.com. Over on the right-hand side, there's about 5 buttons stacked vertically about halfway down the page, and one of them says subscribe. If you click on that, well, I can take you and show you right now. Right here, there's a button over on the right that says subscribe. If you click on that, which I will do, you can come in, and there's 2 options. One is to subscribe for email publications, and one is for print publications. The email publications is the one that will have the Cats Meow newsletter, but there are also some print publications that you can subscribe to. So you can go in either way, manage your subscriptions. You can subscribe to the Cats Meow newsletter and other things. So this is a really handy thing to do. So I'm going to get back to TitleSource 3. At the bottom of the page, what I've tried to do on page 2 is anytime I saw a place where in BWI and in TitleTales, they refer to something that we just call the same thing by a different name, I tried to make a note of it here. I've been working with Christina Bonson at BWI, and she's gone over this. And this is the list that we've come up with so far. If we come up with any more, we'll add it to the list. But you'll notice, like, for instance, in TitleTales, they tend to call a group of titles that you put into a list, we call that a cart. They call the process of checking to see if you have a certain ISBN in your catalog already, they call it pack check. We call it ISBN lookup and so on. So anytime I could see a place where there was obvious where there was just a terminology difference, I put a note there. So let's go ahead and sign on page 3. You'll see that we have this page. You can navigate to it by going to publiclibrary.btol.com, and in the top section you put in your login, and in the bottom box you put in your password. I've already done that, and I'm going to go ahead and click Login, and TitleSource will go ahead and log me in. Now, you're going to come up to either of two pages here. I've come up to the search page, and I prefer that you start out on the home page. You've probably started out on the home page. And in the upper left-hand corner, in the green band, you can see that I clicked on the home button, and now I'm on the home page. This is probably where you started. Now, the reason why you can start on either of two different pages is there's this thing called Preferences. And we're not going to go into it now, but it's up here in the very top in the blue section. You have this link called Preferences. And what Preferences do, the Preferences link is a place where you can go in and personalize TitleSource and tell it to work the way you want it to work. So it's a way to personalize TitleSource to your personal taste. And one of the preferences that you can set is where to start, your landing page. And usually when we set up a user ID, it's set up to start out on the home page, which is the page we're on now. And you can tell that because we're on where it says home here in the green band. I had my preferences set to start me on the search page. So when I signed on, it went to the search page. But right now, I'd like everybody to be on the home page. We're going to go to the search page in a minute and talk about that. There is a separate web training course and a separate document that's all about preferences that will step you through them and explain what they do. For us to talk about them now would be really a waste of time because these things aren't going to mean anything to you right now. But after you've used TitleSource for a little bit, preferences will make a whole lot of sense. I strongly recommend that you go in and try them out and see how they work because some of them, there's a couple that are really important. There's a couple of things that can be very annoying to you, and depending on how you work, and you'll find out you can go to preferences and just make it go away and make it work a whole lot better for you. So preferences are really important. So here's the home page. I clicked on home, and now I'm there. A couple of things I want to point out on this page. Up here in this upper right-hand corner, I have this little search box, and it says I can put in an ISBN, a UPC, or keywords. This little search box is very handy because it's on every page. It shows up everywhere. And what it's trying to tell me is that I can, from any page, no matter where I am in TitleSource, if I want to find an item, I could plug in an ISBN or a UPC code if I'm looking for AV material, or I could do a keyword search. So I could put in an author name or a title or something like that and do a search from anywhere. So this is a really handy thing to have. Also, down here, in the bottom section, I'll have more information about news, about new things that are happening. I have this section on paw prints also. You can see right now we happen to have a sale going on, 30% off, up until December 31st. Now, paw prints, in the document, I say that paw prints are pre-binds like follow bound, and actually, paw prints are actually more like Dewey bound books were. As opposed to follow bound, to split hairs. They have a lifetime, they're pre-binds, they have a lifetime guarantee on the binding. They're really well received. They're very sturdy. I can tell you I had a case where one of my customers had bought a library binding from the publisher that had served, I believe, 5 or 6 times and it fell apart. And they don't have a guarantee, so that was a problem. The funny thing was we had a paw prints version that was less expensive than the library binding from the publisher. Matter of fact, they could have gotten 3 paw prints versions for the price of 2 library bindings from the publisher, and they would have had a lifetime guarantee, and they would have been of a higher quality. So the paw prints are really, really important. So that's what paw prints are. If you have any questions about paw prints, if you want to see some samples, your sales consultant will be happy to give you some samples and to talk about them in more detail. So this page, there's always some good information about new things that are happening, sales, and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and click on the search page. And this is the page where we would conduct our searches. And a couple things I wanted to point out about this. And if you're following along in the documentation, we're on the bottom of page 4 right now. On the left, I have this blue search box. And the first thing I want to point out is that this box can be collapsed. It can be hidden. And I would do that by clicking this little button here that says Hide Search. And if I click it, the box goes away. And if I click it again, the box will come back. Now, this box is actually divided into 2 sections. And if I scroll down a little, it'll be easier to see. The top section is where I do my search, and the bottom section has filters on it. And the way I think about this is that searching is, when I do searching in the top section, what I'm doing is I'm asking TitleSource to go out and find titles to add to my search results. And in the bottom, I'm applying filters which are kind of filtering out those search results and weeding out the titles to kind of winnow down my results into a smaller result sets so that I'm only seeing the titles I really need. So these 2 sections can work really well together. Over on the right-hand side, once I do a search, this is where my search results will show up. So they'll be in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search. Now, a very simple search in TitleTales is shown on the bottom of page 5. I could do a search as simple as doing awesome autumn, seeing as how it is autumn. And then I could choose what kind of search type I want, and I'm going to go ahead and do a title search. And then I could go ahead and click search in TitleTales and perform my search. But to do the same kind of search in TitleSource 3, I would come over here, and in one of these drop-down boxes, I can choose any drop-down box. And if I wanted to change the parameters, I would type in underneath the word title keywords, I would type in awesome autumn. And that is shown on the next page. So I'm doing that search. I don't have to be in the top box. I don't have to use the top one. I can use any of these boxes. By the way, this search panel is completely configurable. So you can configure how many search panels show up, how many of these little search boxes show up, and you can configure what these search parameters are to start with. So I have gone in and told TitleSource in preferences that I want the first one to say ISBN and the second one to say title keywords, the third one to be review source, the next one to be by sex subjects, etc. You can set this up however you want. This is just the way I've decided to set it up for me. So this is another thing that you can tailor. You can decide how many of these boxes you want. You may only want 2 or 3. You may want 7 or 8. Again, this is something you can do in preferences. So this is just how I have set it up. So if I were then to click search, I would go ahead and get my title. So I'm going to go ahead and do that search, and there is Awesome Autumn. Okay, now in the bottom section, page 6 and going on to page 7, I showed another search. So now I'm going to bring back that search box by clicking this button. That remember I showed that you could click this button and either have the box show up or disappear. And notice this little behavior where after I did my search, the box disappeared. This is one of the things that you can configure in preferences. So I told preferences I wanted this box to disappear after I do a search. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my search to do another search like I have it showing on page 7. So I'm going to do a search for series of 39 clues. And now I want to use some filters. The first time I just did a title search. So now I'm going to do a search. I want to turn on the filters, and I want to turn on the physical format filter. So I got to tell it I want to do a search with filters, and I want to use this filter. And notice when I clicked this, it turned white. The filter turned white. And so what I'm saying is I want to see only library bindings and pre-binds. I don't want to see anything that's a paperback or a hardcover or just a plain reinforced. And I don't want to see any of these other formats. I just want to see 39 Clues books in these 2 bindings. All right, now, before I click search, there are a couple of other things I just want to point out. On the bottom of page 7, I do show a couple of the other filters, and let's just kind of go through those quickly, and then we're going to come back and actually execute this search. All right. In TitleTales, especially if you go into the advanced search, you have a lot of additional things you can do. I can come in here and I can do things like I have all these other parameters. For instance, I can do an interest level search. So I can come in and limit things by a certain interest level. Well, in Title Source, we have a filter. If I scroll down, I have a filter down here called Audience. So I could click this button here, this check mark here, and I could also click a number, 1 or more of these checkboxes, and I could therefore limit it to certain age ranges. You see, in TitleTales, I have a publication date or a date published filter where I can put in a range of days. So if I go back over here, right in this section, right here, you see I could put in some days where I could put in a range for the date published. Well, in Title Source 3, I also have a filter here where I can actually do a number of different ways. I could put in, I could click this box and then put in here that I want it between 2 days. I could click this one and just say I want it after a certain date, or I could click this one and say I want it before. If I want it on a specific date, I could click this, or what have you. And right up here, it gives me the YYYYMMDD thing, so it tells me what it was. On the bottom portion of page 8, you can see that in TitleTales, I can search on a specific journal, and if I wanted to, I could also limit it by a specific date range. So the example I show you on page 8, in TitleTales, I can go in and say that I only want to see, things in, book lists that were between a certain date range. So I could actually combine these 2. Well, we can also do that in Title Source 3 by coming up here and using this review source field. And as a matter of fact, I could also combine, put in the word starred under review source keywords, and I could add in the publication date range field and end up accomplishing the same thing. In page 9, you see I show you how to find things that are like lift the flap books or novelty or pop-ups or spiral bound. Page 10, I also talked to you about how to do Dewey range searches, how to find easy readers and picture books and all that. So let's get back to the 39 clues search that I had previously talked about. So what we're going to do is this search for anything in the 39 clues series that is a library bind or a pre-bind. So that's all we're doing. We're just limiting it to library binding, pre-bind in the 39 clues. Now I'm going to click search, and I'm going to come back with a number of hits. I have 22 hits. Now there are 2 different ways to see a list of search results. I am in the brief view right now. If you are in the extended view, your screen is going to look like this. So if it looks like this, please click on the brief view. I want to start in the brief view, and then we'll go look at the extended view. So let's all start in the brief view right now, and we'll talk about the brief view, and then we'll go talk about the extended view. The titles are exactly the same. It's just two different ways of looking at them. Now, one little important distinction between TitleTales and TitleSource is that in TitleTales, you were used to choosing your sort order when you were deciding, when you were making your search argument, when you were deciding to do your search, you chose how you wanted to do your search, your sort. So, for instance, if I go back to up here in the advanced search, I would choose my sort order. Or in the simple search, right here, I could choose how I wanted my results to be sorted. In TitleSource, this is done differently. In TitleSource, you get your search results. It will be sorted by the way that you have decided in your preferences. And then if you want to change it, you can right here. And you have a lot of different ways of sorting. Most people sort by date descending, which is publication date, descending most of the time. But there are a lot of really good reasons for sorting other ways at times. Sometimes you might want to sort it alphabetically by title. So you would do title ascending or possibly title descending. You might want to sort by author or some other ways. Popularity ascending or descending. Popularity descending can be handy if you searched on a title and happen to get a lot of different formats for it. Popularity sorts by the number of orders we have received for a particular format. So popularity will bring to the top of the list, if you sort by popularity descending, it will bring to the top of the list the format that we have gotten the most orders for. And therefore, the formats that no one else is ordering will go to the bottom of the list, and that will help you find the ones you're looking for the most. So you have a lot of different ways to sort these lists. And you can just toggle back and forth between them to your heart's content. So with TitleSource, you choose your sort order afterwards. Notice also, and I'm not going to do it right now, but I do have the ability to put in a quantity and click add. So from this list, if I saw the title I wanted and I didn't need to look any further, I could put in a quantity and click add, and I would add this title to my current cart, to my current list. I'm not going to do that now, and I'll show you in a minute how to do it. But I do have the ability from here to do it. If I go to the extended view, I'm going to see the same titles. I'm just going to see them differently. I get more information about each title, but of course, because I'm seeing more information, I see less titles on a screen. Whichever way that you choose to look at a list is completely up to you. If you prefer to see a list this way, then look at it this way. If you prefer the brief view, look at it in the brief view. So these are the same titles. It's just you see a little more information on each one. Now, I'm not going to explain all of the information you're seeing on the screen yet, because we're going to go in and look at a particular title. And when we look at that title, I'm going to be explaining the information that's available, and that's going to be the same information that you're going to see here. So let's go ahead and do that. And the way I'm going to do that is let's go ahead and click in that quick search box in the upper right-hand corner that I had talked about earlier. And I want to go ahead and enter an ISBN, and let's enter 978-037-583-6992. And that way we'll all be on the same page. We'll all be looking at the same book. And from there, we should all be looking at Jump Into the Sky. All right, this is the hardcover version. So I'm looking at this title, and there's a number. I kind of want to take you on a tour of this title and show you the different pieces here. and show you what's available. All right, the first thing is I can click on the jacket and see a larger version of it. I have a couple of other things. We have this button here that says alternate format. This is one of those things where we call it something different than TitleTales called it. TitleTales had that bindings icon. If I click this, what's going to happen is TitleSource is going to show me this same title in all of the other formats that we know about for this title. So it's the same title. Here it is in spoken word compact disc. There's another spoken word compact disc that's not a library binding. There it is in hardcover. This is the one that we were just on. Here's another library binding. Here it is in an ebook. And I haven't mentioned ebooks. We have this ebook platform called Access 360. It's a really good platform. It's a great platform, especially for children's material, because it's in full color. It preserves all the formatting. It's just an awesome platform. This really isn't the right time to explain everything about it, but I'm sure your sales consultant would be happy to give you a demo of it. We also have regularly scheduled web demos, take about an hour, so if you're interested, talk to your sales consultant and they can sign you up for a web demo. You can just connect and take a web demo and find out all about it. It's a really, really cool thing. So from here, I can see all of the other options, all of the other formats of this title. When I'm done looking at these, if I want to go back to the version that I was just on, I can click this Go Back button, and this is going to take me right back to the hardcover that I was just on. So it takes me, that when I click that Alternate Formats button, I was just taking a temporary little trip off to the side to go look at this title, and now when I click Go Back, I come right back to where I was. All right. I have other information available to me on the screen. First thing I'm going to explain is this inventory information. Now, you're probably just going to see the inventory for your warehouse, or possibly your warehouse is. You may be assigned to one warehouse or two warehouses, depending on where you are regionally and some other variables. We're not going to show you the inventory in the distribution centers that don't serve you. You know, I live in Connecticut. It'd be kind of silly for me to see the inventory in Reno, Nevada, because my books aren't going to ship to me from Reno, Nevada. But I want to explain what these numbers mean. So I have these numbers, and I'll use this bottom set of numbers right here. This says that the Bridgewater facility in Bridgewater, New Jersey, B&T East, has 76 copies on hand. That is how many copies of this book are currently on the shelf and ready to ship. So there are 76 ready to go. The number on order, this tends to confuse people. The number on order of 24, that is not how many are on order by other libraries to us. That is how many we have on order with the publisher. So we have ordered another 24 from Alfred Knopf to come in. So that's just information for you to know that we've decided we're going to need some more. We've ordered another 24. This 30-day demand tells you that in the last 30 days, we have had 7 orders for this book from other libraries. This is just an informational thing to let you know how popular this title has been by other libraries that are serviced by this warehouse. You don't have to do any math here. There are 76 copies of this book that are available for you right now. Now, I may have actually told you a fib. The numbers that were collected here are collected in the middle of the night, and they're displayed. These are the numbers as of about 4 o'clock this morning. And for all intents and purposes, these numbers are probably more than enough for what you need. But if for some reason you need to know what they are at this exact moment, you can always click this real-time button, and it will actually go out and check and tell you how many there are at this exact moment in time. So these numbers are from the middle of the night. This real-time button will tell you what they are right now. I also want to point out right up here, it tells me what the list price is and what the estimated discount price is for this title. I can also scroll down farther, and I see some more information. Now, first let me talk about this ISBN lookup button. In TitleTales, this was called Pack Check, and it had the blue library icon. We call it ISBN lookup. And what this does is it will go and check your catalog to see if you have this title in your catalog. It will check by this ISBN to see if you have this title in your catalog. If this button is not showing up, or if it's not working properly, call tech support and they will configure it for you. Now, duplicate checking. We have a duplicate check button here. You really should not need to click this. I'm going to go ahead and click it, and it's going to tell me it found some duplicates. But there's a couple of things I need to explain to you about duplicate checking, especially since it's done a little bit differently on TitleSource than it's done on TitleTales. In TitleTales, you're probably used to seeing your duplicates in your search results. It's shaded when you do a search. If a title in your search results was a duplicate, it would be shaded and kind of show you that it was a duplicate. TitleSource 3 does not do that, doesn't tell you in the search results that a title is a duplicate. As an aside, we're working on a new version of TitleSource called TitleSource 360, your sales rep, your sales consultant, can give you a little demonstration of TitleSource 360. It is functional, although we're not ready to put libraries on it yet. It doesn't have all the functionality that libraries need. We have some retailers on it. It's going to show you in your search results if an item is a duplicate, but TitleSource 3 does not do that. What TitleSource 3 does is that the moment that I put an item into a cart, so if I put in a quantity and clicked add, when I do that, TitleSource 3 does a duplicate check and will come up and say, this item is a duplicate, and then give me an option as to what I want to do. It will allow me to go ahead and put it into the cart because maybe I need additional copies or maybe I'm ordering a replacement, so maybe a duplicate is fine. It will also, though, allow me to cancel the operation and not put it into the cart because maybe I'm making a mistake. So when I put a title into a cart, TitleSource checks to see if it was a duplicate. All right, so I should not have to click this button on every title because TitleSource is going to do this for me. It's going to perform a duplicate check automatically. When TitleSource does the duplicate check, it checks every title in every one of my carts. In addition, it checks every title in every cart in everybody else's user ID in the library. All right, so it's not just my carts, it's everyone's carts. So it checks everyone's. Now, there is some tailoring of that we can do. So if you wanted to only check yours, we can make that change, and you would call tech support, and they'll make it for you. But normally, everyone wants it to check everyone's carts. Now, it can only check carts that actually exist, right? So it checks on the carts that you have, that you still have, okay? So that's how duplicate checking works, and it's kind of important that you understand the differences and how that functions. So you shouldn't, every time you pull up a title, you shouldn't have to click this. This is just here in case you're a little bit curious If you are looking at this title and saying, gee, this looks familiar, I think I ordered this, did I ever order this? You could click on it and it'll tell you if you ordered it. Now, if you notice, I have a number of green tabs that go across the bottom here. Right now, the tab that's clicked is my detail tab, and this is giving me additional detail about this title. So I could go ahead and look at all this information. I have subjects, I have information about pagination and physical description and how much it weighs. So I have additional information that I could look at down here. Now, if you notice, there is a space here where there is a tab missing. This tab is a tab that would be called Muse, M-U-Z-E. And this is a tab that would show up for AV material. If you buy AV material from us, talk to your sales consultant. Your sales consultant will get this tab turned on. It will only show up on AV material. And it's a really cool repository of great information for AV stuff. For instance, for like music, it'll give you track listings. It'll give you, a list of all of the performers on the CD. It'll tell you other CDs, other music like this one. For movies, it'll give you other titles like this one, a list of all the performers. It'll give you reviews from like Rolling Stone and People and, all sorts of other review sources. It's just full of really, really good information. Your sales consultant will be happy to get this tab turned on for you. It's completely free. So just talk to your sales consultant. Again, that's only for AV material. Obviously, this is a book, so that's why it's not showing up here right now. I can click on the publisher content link, and I'm going to see here a list of different kinds of information. I have a couple of different summaries here. This is probably the flap copy that came from the book, and I have an author biography here. So that's helpful. I have a reviews tab. So here I can see the full text. I can see up top I have kind of an area where I see the citations of where this item has been reviewed. And then I can scroll down and I can actually read the book list review, the SLJ review, the Kirkus review, and the PW review. If that's not enough, I can click on the Table of Contents tab and scroll down and see what the table of contents are. I have an excerpt tab for this title, so I can scroll down and actually read, in this case, the first chapter. So I can see more about it. Now, I have this tab called Demand. You're not going to have that tab, and quite frankly, it's kind of useless. It's basically this 30-day demand on steroids. It shows all the different warehouses and demand going back to the beginning of time, and it's really not terribly useful for libraries. So those are the different tabs that I have available to me. So I can then go ahead and make a decision about whether or not I want this title. Now, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's choose to add this title to a cart. I'm going to now have to make a cart, or a list, as it would have been called in TitleTales. Now, I've kind of ignored this little band right here, this kind of sand-colored band going from left to right up until now. I haven't really talked about it up until now. This tells me what cart is currently my active cart, and it tells me how many items I have in it and what my list price and my discounted price is. In TitleSource, it's kind of important to know this concept of an active cart. I can come in here and choose what cart is going to be my active cart. And one cart at any one time is always my active cart. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say I want to choose a private cart, and it's going to give me a whole list of all of the possible carts I have that I could choose, and I've got just a huge list of carts here, mainly because I'm not really good about going in and closing and deleting all of my old carts. but I happen to know I have a cart down here that is my picture books cart. So if I choose that one, I now have my active cart is my picture books September 15, 2012 cart. And it tells me that it's a non-grid card, it's open, and it also gives me the running totals. Tells me there's 11 items in it, 11 titles, a total quantity of 18, and it gives me the running totals on my list price, my discounted price, etc. So if I were to put in a quantity and click add, it's going to go into this cart. At any one time, I always have a cart that is active. There is always a cart that is my currently active cart. If I put in a quantity and click add, it will go into that cart. The way I change which cart is active is I come here and I change it. I either choose a private cart or a shared cart. Now, TitleTales has private carts and shared carts also. And we mentioned here there's grid carts and non-grid carts, which are something that TitleTales also has. And I'm not going to, in this course, I'm not going to get into the differences between private and shared too much. Private carts are carts that are only carts that your TitleSource user ID can see. So when you're signed on, only your TitleSource user ID can see them, only your ID can work on them. No one else can add titles to them, they're just yours. Shared carts, on the other hand, are carts that everyone can work on at the same time. So every user ID could work on it at the same time. We're going to cover shared carts in a different training session. We're not going to talk about them and how to use them and all that in this session. Grid carts and non-grid carts, also, the difference between those is that grid carts are used when customers need to download a cart into the acquisitions module in their ILS system. And it's a way to tell TitleSource what the fund code is that we're going to charge to this book to, and also some other information, usually what shelving location the book is going to be on, and usually kind of what item type it is, and some other information. That exact information depends on what ILS system you're on, so it varies a bit from ILS system to ILS system. But it's a way to tell TitleSource some information about where the book is going and what fund code, what fund is going to be charged for the book. And then when TitleSource sends the file of MARC records to the ILS system that includes that information, then the ILS system then knows what to do with this book. And the acquisitions module knows how to handle it. Again, we're not going to talk about grids and how to use grids in this section. All right, so I want to go ahead and create a new cart. And by the way, you notice there's this thing that says quick cart. Anytime you see anything about a quick cart, just go ahead and ignore it. There are situations where a quick cart is really handy and it's helpful. For you, just ignore the quick cart. It's not really going to be, for your workflow, it's not going to be very helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and create a brand new cart to put this item into for my Jump into the Sky book. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create New Cart, and I get some options here. I can give it a cart name. I can type in a brand new name. So I think I'm going to create a brand new cart with a name of, and I'm going to use the same name that we had in, that I put in the document. So I'm going to call it Fiction 91712. I can choose the account that I want to assign it to. The list of accounts here are going to be the same as the list of accounts that this is going to be your list, your library's list of accounts. If you do not use grids, you are not going to see all of this grid stuff here. And so you're just going to click Create. And once you create a cart, now TitleSource assumes that if you create a cart, you must want to work on it, so it will automatically make that cart your active cart. So you'll notice in this sand-colored band, my active cart is now Fiction 91712. There's no titles in it, no quantity, no list price, nothing like that. So everything's empty. So I have now created my cart. So what I want to do is I want to put in a quantity, and I want to click Add. Now, remember what I said before, that when I do that, TitleSource is going to do a couple of things. The first thing it does is it performs a duplicate check. So TitleSource has done a duplicate check, and it has found that I have this title in 2 other carts. It found this title in this cart called AR Test and another cart named Rourke Test. So I have this title in other carts. I now have a choice of what to do. If I click Cancel, it will not put it in this current cart. If I click Update, it will put it in this cart. So I'm going to go ahead and click Update. Perhaps I'm ordering additional copies, so I'm going to click Update and go ahead and put it in this cart. It has added it to the cart, and over here you can see I now have 2 total quantity of 1 item. So I have 1 title, 2 total quantity. It's added it. It's updated my running totals, and I'm all there. Okay, so that's how I add a title to a cart. I could then go do another search, find titles in other ways, continue to add them to my cart. Once I'm done with the cart, I'm going to go order it. I'm going to show you that in a second. I just want to take one little trip off to the side and show you one thing. Now, in TitleTales, you have this link called Bibliographies, where you can go in and look at bibliographies. We have a similar thing, but we call them selection lists. And it's this link up here in this green link that's called selection lists. You can come in here, and this is something that's grown over time. This started out a couple of years ago as a very small list, and it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. The list that you'll want to go into, you can spend time and poke around through here a lot. But the big one you'll want to come into is this Children's and Teen Services section. And once you're in here, there's all sorts of different lists. There's state awards and nominees. So if you want to go look at state award winners, you can come in here. Other award winners are in here, like ALA award winners. You can go look at graphic novel lists. There's lists of paw print titles. We were talking about those, pre-bind. So there's summer reading lists, all sorts of different lists in here. You can come in and look at these lists and look at, here's some core paw prints lists, all sorts of different lists that you can poke around in and find the lists you're looking for and find different titles. So there's a lot of really good information here. I'm not going to get too much deeper into this. I just wanted to kind of let you know it's here and give you the opportunity to come in and look at it at your leisure and find the lists that are helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Carts button now up here in the green section. So remember that we added a title to our cart. And when I click on Carts, this is where I come in and manage my carts. So I click on the Carts tab, the Carts button to go manage my carts. Now, a couple of things about looking at my carts. I have a couple of different ways a couple of different things I want to point out here to you. First off, over in the center section, I have a list of all of my carts. I have this list sorted right now by date updated. In other words, the cart I have worked on the most recently is going to be at the top of the list. I could sort them alphabetically by name or by some other date, other things. These other things all have to do with shared carts or some other features. Most people just leave this set to date updated, and that seems to work really well because then old carts that they haven't touched in a while will roll towards the bottom. You can see that I have 239 carts. I really need to go in and delete some old carts. Here is the cart that we just created. You see it still has 1 title in it, 2 total quantity. And here was that previous cart that I had, that previous picture books cart. And then down here, if I scroll further down, these are some carts. This cart is a cart that was put into TitleSource for me automatically using our First Look program. Access is our ebook program, And this is a cart of juvenile fiction titles that was put in for me automatically. This can be done. This is something you can sign up for. This is an automatic cart of juvenile fiction ebook titles that gets put into TitleSource for me once a month. These are all the new titles that came out. Here's some juvenile picture book titles that came out. Here's some adult nonfiction titles. So I have those. Further down, I get some AV items put in here. Like here's some children and family DVDs, some children's DVDs, some children's TV. So I get a lot of automated lists put in here. So we have a lot of different lists that can be inserted for you automatically, and then you can just open up the list, decide what you want, order the ones you want, discard the ones you don't want, and it can make life really easy. You can really streamline your ordering process. You can talk to your sales consultant, and he or she will be happy to walk you through that process and get you all set up. It's a really, really cool thing. Okay, you can use this section to filter out what carts you're seeing over here. Although most of the time, it really works to just leave this set to all cart groups, all carts, and all statuses. Okay, all cart groups. What cart groups are sort of like, the way to think about cart groups is to think about them like folders in Windows. You can create folders, create these cart groups, and then you can assign your carts to different folders. Most of the time, libraries don't do that. The places where that's done tends to be in really large libraries, especially if they're doing shared carts. And they end up with a lot of carts. And folders can be a really good way of managing their workflow, so they can kind of move carts from folder to folder or cart group to cart group. That's sort of a way of managing the way that their carts flow through the organization. Individuals, they can be used for individuals. I'm not going to get into it in detail here. That's more of a higher level function, and I'm trying to keep this much more basic, but I do want you to know what they are. You can also filter out and only look at private carts or shared carts. Normally people just leave this on all carts. You can choose to only look at all carts, all statuses, confirmed statuses, etc. Some of these statuses only happen on shared carts. Most of the time people leave it on all statuses. A confirmed status cart is one that has been ordered directly on TitleSource. And so if I wanted to only see the carts that had been already ordered, I could flip to confirm status, and I'm only going to see the carts that have been ordered, and you can see that I see them in confirmed status. If I go back to all status, you'll see I see everything. A cart that is in build status is a cart that is currently being built. It is open to have titles added to it. So I'm currently working on that. Oh, by the way, this blue cart manager section can be collapsed by clicking on this blue tab, or I can click on it and bring them back. So that's just like the other just like the search tab, and on the search panel, I could collapse and bring back the search panel. Down here, I can also create a new cart. Remember that I created a cart before by going into that sand-colored band and choosing Create New Cart. If I wanted to, I could create a new cart here. I could type in the name of a cart, choose an account right here, and click Create Cart, and I could create a cart here. So I have a couple of different ways of creating a cart. Right? If I want to do something to a particular cart, I would come in here and choose an option right here. Oh, if I want to see the titles in the cart, by the way, I would click on the actual cart name here in green. And just to kind of show you a different one, if I click on this one, I'm going to see these are the ebook. This is with the ebook list. So I'm going to come in and see, I'm looking at them in extended view right now. So I'm seeing the ebooks. This is telling me, and I can choose to see them in the detail view if I want. So I'll see each item in detail view, and I can hide my filters. And then I could go look at the next title. So this is one of those lists that's put in there for me individually. Tells me a bit about the title. If I wanted it, I could put in a quantity. If I didn't want it, I could just click remove title and throw it out of the list. Okay. If I want to do something to the cart, I choose this select function box next to the cart that I want to work on. And you can see I have a number of options for each cart. A lot of these options, most of these options I'm going to cover in the Title Source 201 section, where we're going to talk about all these. In a second, we're going to do the order function. A couple of the others that I just want to mention is download. That's if you need to download MARC records into your ILS system to get on-order records and order to get it into your ILS system because you do grids and you do EDI ordering. Transfer is if you want to send a cart to someone else, to somebody else's Title Source user ID. It's a pretty simple process, but I'll talk about it in Title Source 201. Copy will make another copy of your cart, so you'll have two versions of it. It's something people tend not to use a whole lot. Merge can be a handy function. Merge will let you take two or more carts and merge them all into this one. So I can take my Fiction 91712 cart and my Picture Books 91512 cart and merge them together into just one cart. I could go into the Reports tab and run various reports. I could run, I could make little slips. If you still need 3x5 slips, I could email the cart to someone. I could delete it. So there's a number of different options I could do here. The one I want to talk about right now is to go ahead and do an order. So if I click order and click go, I'm going to get this screen. Now on this screen, I have a couple of options. I can go ahead and change the account that the cart is going to be ordered on. I put in a purchase order number. Now when you put in a purchase order number, if you use alpha characters, they should be uppercase. And I could make some changes if I wanted to, and then I'll click order selected cart. Now I'm not going to go ahead and order this. And because if I did, I would actually get it. I don't want this. But I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. But I can show you what would happen. Now, after I ordered this, this would come back and tell me that it was transmitted. If I waited a few minutes and either click this, the reload page, depending on your browser, this is going to look different, or if I hit the F5 key, to do a refresh. And F5 just does a refresh of the screen. The cart is going to come back and say confirmed. And this is a confirmed cart. So if I come in here, I would be able to see that this title has been confirmed. It's not back ordered or canceled, and I could see the actual confirmation status of the title. So I know that this title is going to come in. And so that's basically the workflow. That's how you would go in, do searching, find a title, add it to a cart, create a cart, add it to a cart, and then order the cart. So what I was trying to accomplish here is talk about basic navigation, how to get around in Title Source, do those items, and just do basic searching, finding items, and kind of help you get a basic foundation for using Title Source and place orders. In later sections, if you choose to take some of the additional training that we're posting online, we're going to talk about things like how to set up your preferences, how to go look at your search history, how to do things like batch entry, where if you have a list of ISBNs, you can enter them quickly, how to transfer carts, how to merge carts, how to do different kinds of things, if you're an administrator, how to do those kinds of functions, how to do shared carts, etc. There's also a number of documents that are available. There's a document all on preferences, document on advanced finding, which gets really deep into all the things you can do in searching. Searching, there is a lot of power in the search panel and in the filters. You can do a lot of really cool things. You just need to know how to do them. So all of that is available. I hope that you found this helpful. Remember that there is the product technical support phone number. They're ready and willing and able to help you. So give them a call if you run into a bind, and they'll either help you or they'll find the resources that will. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.